Hello everyone, welcome back to our Freebie Friday videos series. The series that we're working on is called 30 Days of Crazy Legal Tactics. Today's topic is going to be about weaponizing the past. And what I mean by weaponizing the past is when somebody tries to dredge up things from your past that are less than desirable in an effort to use that against you, for to either control you, embarrass you, or cloud and confuse the issues that you're both arguing over at the moment. So typically these types of people would go back into researching you. If they didn't know you well before, they'll try to look up things about you, such as past criminal records, maybe even minor violations like traffic tickets. They will talk to people that you have in common to see if there's any dirt that they can dig up on you, and then try to turn that over to the lawyers, thinking that that's going to help their case. You see this a lot in family law cases, but it can happen within any context in consumer cases whenever you have person to person, or sometimes person to company, such as if somebody is having a dispute with their employer or with a landlord, or a management company for the landlord. So they'll go back out there and look for things, as if that is going to weigh in heavily on the current case. So for instance, somebody could come up and say, well, this person was arrested at some point for DWI, and then because of that, that's really relevant to this current case, which is a case about money and about debt collection, for instance. So that's not going to be very relevant, because in a debt collection case, the main issue is whether or not the debt is owed and to whom it's owed. So there's no issue about whether it's a drunk person that's trying to collect their money. You still have to pay them, even if they're still currently a drunk. But having a DWI doesn't mean that you're a drunk. Some people with the worst past actually end up having the best futures, or presents. So I think that when people are using this, it's because they're grasping at straws and also trying to embarrass you into submission. Submission meaning that embarrass you to back down from your position so you don't pursue the case any further. So it's a tactic that we see a lot. I think it's a little bit crazy. Sometimes, of course, you need to bring up the past if it's relevant to the current situation. If you have somebody that's a sex offender and you have a child involved, then that makes sense. If you have a sex offender and you're talking about debt collection case, then it doesn't make sense to bring it up at all. Or for instance, people will bring up prior drug use. They'll bring up a larceny charge. Maybe somebody wrote a bad check 20 years ago, and now they're bringing that in to prove that this person is lying today. So you can't really use that successfully. It's not very relevant, and also the proximity in time does matter. So because people do stupid things when they're teenagers, or they do stupid things when they're young adults, and then they learn and they grow up and they do better. So the courts are not always going to take your side if you try to use somebody's past heavily against them, especially if it's a distant past and if it's not something egregious, not something completely shocking, to the conscience. So if they're not, like I said, they didn't murder anyone, they didn't abuse any child, then, and it's not a family law case to begin with, so you may not really have a lot of standing in that. So don't try to use people's past against them unnecessarily. If it's relevant, of course, you need to bring it up to your lawyer and let your lawyer decide. And if somebody's trying to use that against you, be very aware that that's what they're doing. Don't let it get under your skin, and just keep your composure and keep your eye on the goal that you're there for. Whatever issues that you brought forward, whatever complaints you have against that person, keep pushing forward. And even if they threaten you, because it's going to be a mild threat, even though they're not presented as a threat, as a direct threat, they're actually sort of threatening you to air your dirty laundry. So you can just let them know, I don't really care, if you bring up my past in court. I don't care, if you tell your lawyer about things that I did in the past, because it's not relevant to this current case. So you can say that confidently. And if you're not sure, if they're talking about a past conviction, in discovery requests, for instance, we'll see people have their lawyer ask about, your criminal records and things. Your lawyer can always object to these types of questions in context, within whatever type of case you have. If it's a case about a restraining order, then yeah, they will ask about previous criminal record if it's relevant to the matter. If you had an assault or battery charge in the past, then that will be relevant in a family law case or in a case where somebody is trying to get a protective order against you. So be very careful out there when you're conducting yourself. Always try to be of high integrity, obviously, and learn from the mistakes of the past. Don't let them hold you hostage. So this is my quick video for you. If you have questions that you're worried about as far as your past goes, maybe you had certain situations with an employer where they fired you for a cause and it was a bad cause, and you think that might weigh in on your case, just ask your lawyer and the lawyer will be able to tell you. And also, if you think it might affect your credibility in court, ask your lawyer and the lawyer will be able to tell you, based on the proximity in time, whether that might be something that could possibly affect your credibility, your perceived credibility in court, and also if maybe your lawyer can actually object to those kinds of questions or evidence, and they'll be able to explain to you more. So I hope this video has been helpful to you, and if you have specific questions that you think I might be able to help with, definitely reach out directly to my office and I'll be able to answer them for you. Thank you for watching, and watch out for the next video in the series, and I will see you next time.